Jon Joffin, cinematographer for Schmigadoon. You joined the show in season 2. So were you a fan of season 1, and what excited you about working on season 2, which went into the 60s and 70s of iconic musicals?
Yeah, well, season two, it's much darker and grittier than season one, and also there's many more looks within it. Whereas season one was sort of this one time period and was very sort of bright and arguably a little bit flatter than I usually like to do. So actually, when I was approached to do the show, I wasn't sure that I wanted to do it, but when I met with them, I mean, I loved the show and I loved the music, but it wasn't a look that I wanted to explore. But when I met with them, they showed me these beautiful mood boards and sets and costumes, and they started talking about Chicago, Cabaret, Umbrellas of Cherbourg, all these amazing films. So halfway through the meeting, I was like, I want to do this. I hope they decide to offer it to me. So yeah, it was a great experience.
You're like past me. That was a mistake. You should have not tried to turn this down, right? Like,
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I think it's always important to meet people and see what they have to say about it, because you can, I mean, and honestly, when I read the script was really fun too. I mean, what you don't get when you read the script is because there's so much music in it, you don't get to hear the songs and you don't get to see the performances. And honestly, once you see that, it was just so much fun. It was just so inspiring. Like we wouldn't really we wouldn't go to rehearsals because it was COVID and they were cramming even more songs into the show. So we'd only get to see things in the morning, and it usually you'd see it in the morning and you'd have all these options, programmed in and ready to go. But you would just get so inspired. It was just so much fun. And mostly they were performing live. For about 80% of it, the music's live. So it's like the energy and I mean, yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience.
yeah. Well, like you said, like the season is kind of darker, edgier. I like that you're more drawn to like murder and like
Well,
these
I think as the DP, you want to challenge yourself, and you when
right.
you take a project, you know what you're going to get to do, and you're going to be on it for 5 6 months. You're like, I want to be challenged. I want to be able to bring something to it. So I think
Mhm.
that's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Well, and also like unlike season 1, like in season 2, there are kind of 3 distinct worlds. Like you have Chicago, and then there's like the Sweeney Todd
yeah,
world, and then like the hippies. So how did you
yeah.
devise the look of each of them?
Well, right from the beginning, Cinco Paul, he's an amazing showrunner. He actually comes from animation. He wrote Despicable Me and Minions, and he knows exactly what he wants. And he came in really hot and strong, and he said, "I want a 3-strip Technicolor look." And I didn't know that much about 3-strip Technicolor at the time, but it's about they shot with 3 different film stocks, and there were different colors, so the colors are very discreet, and because of that, they're very vibrant. Funnily enough, I reached out to a lot of friends to help me, and one of the people, David Mullen, was really great in educating me about Technicolor. And so they wanted that look. They wanted this Technicolor look. So that was kind of the umbrella for all the looks. So we developed this lot. I worked with the colorist Jill Bogdanowicz, who's amazing. She designed a lot that we work with. So because it was tricky with the looks too, because even though we had the hippie camp, we had Sweeney Todd and we had Chicago and the cabaret kind of look, they all merged. Like all the characters would come together. So it needed to be different, but yet feel kind of the same. But with the hippie, when we were in the hippie camp, we did it was very colorful, and we did these rainbow flares, and it was great. And then the Sweeney Todd was darker and more ominous, more like the film. But the one thing Seiko told me, Lauren Michaels had said to him, he said, it needs to be dark, but it can't be too dark because it's got a really nice sort of light, fun tone to it. So mostly it was walking the line between being dark and not going too far. So it was just finding that balance. And in the end, I mean, I ended up, I was really happy with where we got to. And I think showrunner in the studio, everyone was pretty happy with it. So it was a good marriage. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're Emmy nominated for Something Real, and this episode it kind of has everything that you just talked about. You have like a dance number, a performance number at the hippie
Yeah.
commune, and then at the end, Sweeney Todd with Alan Cumming, Kristen Chenoweth. But I'm gonna talk about like one shot at
Yeah.
the dinner scene because it's so understated, and it's
Oh, great.
Josh and
Yeah.
Melissa's double date with Miss Caldwell and Dooley, and they're just sitting in a booth around this tiny table, and the camera is just perched in front of them the entire scene. You've got like waiters crossing in front and the bar in
Yeah.
the back, and it's so simple but effective. So what went into the staging of that?
Well, that's really, I'm really glad you brought that up because that's a really interesting story. And it's a story where, you start on the show and you get to know each other. And that was the shot that built my incredible trust into Cinco Paul, the showrunner. And as soon as we did that scene, I'm like, anything he says, I'm doing it because he just knows exactly what he wants. So he came, and we were really under the gun. Like we were very tight for time. So if you look at the scenes, like especially the performances, they're covered very economically. We get exactly what we want. So he came to us the day before, and it was one of those typical things where we were under the gun. And he said to us, I think it would be great if we could do this scene in one shot. And so we started talking about it. Robert Luketic, the director, and we started talking. We're like, I don't know. It's like, I think it's almost 2 minutes, the scene. And he said, yeah, he wanted to do it in the one shot. So we're like, well, what do we do? Are we going to dolly around the table? How are we going to make it interesting? So we said to him, you know what, we'll do it in one shot. And if we feel like we need more coverage or whatever, we'll do that. So when we got there, he said, it's not at all about moving the camera. It's about seeing everyone in the frame, because you've got Alan Cummings and Kristen Chenoweth. They're right in the foreground. That they're what the story's about right at the moment. They're trying to Keegan and Cecily are trying to get them together as a couple. So they're in the foreground. It's quite awkward. And you have Cecily and Keegan in the background looking. So you see their reactions, you see everything that's going on. And honestly, I don't think that scene would be that funny if you were cutting to people, because you get to see everything that's happening in the frame. And yeah, it was just a good lesson. I mean, I think it's like, yeah, you don't need to be fancy all the time. Sometimes you just want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
On the other hand, too, you need incredible production design. You need a great story, and you need great actors who have the timing and can pull that off. So actually, I felt like I was cheating a lot on the show just because the production design was amazing, the costumes were amazing, the performances were incredible. It was like one song after the other. So yeah, it's a really, really special thing to work on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on that note, do you have a favorite song from the season? Mine is Good Enough to Eat.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too, and I've watched it a lot too, and I think I just love the one thing that I got from the show is it's not just the people who are singing, but it's the people reacting to the singing and dancing. Like if you watch Keegan-Michael Key, if you watch his face, he's just like, it's a masterclass in acting if you see how he reacts. But that whole scene with all the kids, oh yeah, it was really special, really, really special. That's one of my favorites. And then I really like Talk to Daddy, which is in Something Real episode in the hippie camp. It's just, there's something just kind of bonkers, and it's very Bob Fosse, and it's I don't know if you know the movie Sweet Charity, which but it's based on that film. And it's funny, the production designer Jamie, she said to me, when you watch that film, she goes, you'll see where they got the inspiration for Austin Powers. It's got that sort of zany kind of vibe. So yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was so fun, even though it was a lot of hard work. It was challenging with COVID. It was just so much fun going to work every day, and the music was stuck in your head all the time, which was really fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, John, it was great speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time, and you get to stay on because everyone's coming back. So
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.